Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Matt Kim podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kim, joined by my co-host. He's not here today. It's not that he's gone forever. Relax. But Peter Saddington will be back on the show probably in the next couple of days. I have been doing a lot of traveling, and I had too many stories to tell that I had to do an episode before we could get together. Peter is, I don't know where Peter is. Do you know where Peter is, Will?
Racing.
Peter is in the world racing go-karts like a child, or with his child? And both. So Will is hanging out with us today. Welcome to the podcast, Will. Hey!
Thank you.
I thought you'd do like a sound effect or something there. Guess not, that's going to happen.
The thank you wasn't enough?
No, can we get a clap or something? Oh, what a miss. Trying to get him to do the soundboard and the camera switcher and the sound effects and talk at the same time. It's a lot of responsibility, Will. I understand that, but let's see if we can figure it out. Yeah, great. Thanks. Thanks for the feedback, Will. Amazing. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a podcast, and I felt like it's something that we had to do because I've been on the road for, I think, almost 28 days now. Give or take. I think I've done like random 3 days home or 2 days home. But really, it's been about 28 days. Haven't recorded anything. Haven't pumped out any content in about a month, which is probably the longest stretch we've gone with this little content. So it's really, I feel like we need to update everyone on where we are, what we've been doing, and what we've been working on. And I don't even know if we've been working on anything, but we'll get all there. Last month, I've been in... So I started in... We did Dallas. We did the Tucker Carlson show in Dallas. We went and visited that. We watched it live. Feels like ages ago. Actually, it feels like another lifetime ago. I don't even know if it's all that interesting anymore. It's so far gone. News moves so quickly. And then we were supposed to go to Greenville to do another Tucker Carlson show there, but it got hurricaned out. Is Hurricane Helene still a thing, though, by the way, Will?
Yeah, I think Trump was just in Asheville, North Carolina.
Today, right?
Yeah, I think it was today or yesterday, doing his rounds and letting them know that, as soon as he gets back into office, the people will be taken care of. So
we missed the Tucker. We didn't end up going to Greenville because of the Hurricane Helene. And then we ended up going to San Francisco, went to LA, went down to Orange County, went to Vegas, came back, was in Miami for a couple of days, and now we're back at home, and we're going to try to get back on a normal schedule, although I don't exactly know what that means. Did you miss me? Will, did you miss me?
Sure.
Great. Yeah, amazing.
I had your dog, so it was okay.
That's true. You did have my dogs. It's like I'm always with you if you have my dogs.
Yeah.
And so we're back. Quickly, I guess I would just want to run through the top of what we've seen and what we've experienced, really on a kind of a generic level to begin with. We did San Francisco, and I had an opportunity to walk into the Tenderloin area. I was really curious to know if San Francisco is as bad as people say. And
did you step in any poop?
I didn't step in any poop, but you do need to look down while you walk. It's actually kind of disgusting because if you're not looking down while you walk, you will step in human feces, which is like the most disgusting thing ever. And every once in a while you're looking down and you're walking, you will see the human feces that is like flattened into the concrete. And you're like, not only did one person step in that, like multiple people stepped in that. Because it's easier to identify when it's a pile, but once it starts getting flattened, you don't notice it as much. And I saw a lot of people in San Francisco walking around with their headphones on, looking down and the headphones on. It seems really dangerous, actually, to walk around San Francisco with the poop everywhere, drug addicts everywhere, like these fentanyl zombies in the street, and you're walking around with headphones on, not aware of what's around you, and you're looking down because you don't want to step in poop. It seems like the worst idea ever, by the way.
Yeah, that reminds me of another gripe I have. It's when people drive with their headphones on. You know?
Do people do that?
Yeah, I see people. In cars with over-ear headphones driving. You know, so they're like sound blocking.
That's crazy.
It's so dangerous.
Because you would never hear someone honking at you.
Nope.
Don't do that. I've been doing the not even wear headphones or not have music in my ear when I'm in the airport these days, which is kind of wild. I've taken a lot of flights, and I've been doing the no headphone in the airport, which is different.
That's probably because a lot of people recognize you now.
Well, if I don't want to talk to anyone, then I will put them in my ear but not have music because it seems like you're busy. But I've been doing like completely going raw, which is there's like this new phenomenon actually. Did you hear about it?
Yeah, I heard you talking to Mike Posner
about it.
Yeah, and I've heard of it on other podcasts
about raw dogging on the plane.
Yeah,
Such a hilarious way to put that.
Cross-country 6-hour or international flights with no media.
Do you think you could do that?
No.
Like just sit there and stare forward for 12 hours with no music, no TV, no book, and just sit there with your own thoughts with all the turbulence in your ear.
And no sleeping.
And no sleeping.
Yeah.
Do you think you could raw dog a flight?
No.
What do you think the maximum flight that you could raw dog?
2 hours going to New York.
2 hours?
From here to New York.
I even think that would be tough. I think I'd go crazy. Raw dogging 2 hours. And it's such a weird way to call it raw dogging. I think it's hilarious. I don't know if I could raw dog an entire flight.
That's because you have a dirty mind.
Is it why?
Yeah.
Am I the only one thinking that right now?
No.
I'm pretty sure everyone's thinking
most
that's
of the listeners are agreeing with you.
That's a really weird thing to call it.
Yeah.
To raw dog a flight.
Probably.
So I've been raw dogging airports. That doesn't sound right.
No.
It sounds weird. But I've been, so we did San Francisco and we got to walk around San Francisco with Bruce Lowe, which is interesting because for people that still don't know, Bruce Lowe is running for Congress against Nancy Pelosi. He is 28 years old, Chinese American, and he's a former Jeopardy champion, really smart. And he gets like zero press, zero playtime. But we walked around. He was like really interesting because he understood the history of every single historical building that we walked by.
Does he have any money behind him?
He got endorsed by the GOP. And if you get endorsed by the GOP, then you get a little bit of money. But he's working with like maybe a couple $100,000, few $100,000.
Yeah, that's why nobody's ever heard of him.
I mean, who wants to back him against, who wants to go up against Nancy Pelosi is really it.
I would think there's a lot of people who'd throw their money into that.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
I would think that his campaign would be really popular. We've done a couple of videos about him. We've done some features on him. And I thought that people would be like, oh, wow, there's like a guy that is going against Nancy Pelosi. This is interesting because we get to rag on Nancy Pelosi for an entire election season. And it never happened. I don't know if it's because him, like he's not as, he's not as over the top. He's not overly charismatic. So maybe that's why. I don't know. San Francisco, that congressional district is San Francisco. And San Francisco is 40% Asian. It's 40% Asian. Of the 11 board members or whoever they have on their commissioner board, there is one Asian out of 11. Meaning they're like severely underrepresented. And this guy comes out of nowhere, beats all the Democratic candidates, beats all the Republican candidates, ends up being the front runner and goes up against Nancy Pelosi in the main event. And he's got like no support.
What do you think is the split between liberal and conservative in the Asian community there?
It's San Francisco, so it's got to lean. It's probably
more than lean, I would think.
It's definitely more liberal than conservative. But San Francisco is so liberal. It's like 80% liberal.
Yeah.
Maybe more. I would think that the Asian community is the reason why it's only 80 versus 100. I don't know. I don't know why they put up with it because I was walking around kind of this Tenderloin area around where all the homeless people are. And when they say they're cleaning up San Francisco, what they're doing is they're just taking the homeless people and pushing them to the side. And where they push them to the side is all these like Asian-owned businesses. So all these Asian-owned businesses have like homeless encampments right in front of them. They're not frustrated? Like, how did they let that happen? I'm frustrated. I was really frustrated for them because I feel like they're getting screwed and the people that are running for office don't really care and they're not trying, they're not helping them. And I don't know what the solution is here. You know, part of me is like, this is what they asked for. This is what they vote for. Like, let them go down the ship because this is what it is. And the other part of me is like, dude, like, someone should help them.
Right, but they need to be wanting the help. You know, they have to get to that tipping point where they're like, oh yeah, okay, this is fucked up. We need to change something. And they need that feeling as a community. Yeah.
The problem with that method is that by the time people are so fed up with how something is done, is that it's often too late to actually fix the problem. Perfect example is LA. I spent a couple of weeks in LA and I got to go around the Skid Row area. And I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe everyone else knew this. I thought Skid Row was a row. It's in the name, Skid Row. I thought it was a row. It's an entire district. It's like 30 blocks, maybe more.
That's crazy.
It's huge. The Skid Row has its own, it's so large that it's got its own urban sprawl. And it's just like growing and growing. And it's like homeless encampments all over the place. It's like super dangerous. It's super dirty. It's not something that I would walk around in. I actually told them. I walked around LA and Skid Row, or I went through LA and Skid Row with the LAPD. And I was like, hey, I want to walk in Skid Row and I want to film. Because I did that in San Francisco in Tenderloin. And they were like, not the best idea you ever had, Matt.
Yeah, even in San Francisco, I saw that guy came up to you, was like, hey, you better stop bleeping filming, and started threatening you guys.
What the camera didn't capture is he said, if you don't stop filming, I'm going to take that camera and shove it up your ass. Didn't capture that. But that's what he said. So in LA, I was like, I'm going to walk around the streets. I'm going to film. Because, you know, like I'm oddly no fear, which is stupid. Maybe I should have more fear. And they're like, this is not the best idea you've ever had. How about this? We'll send an officer with you that understands the area and you can go around Skid Row with them. Great. And then they're like, but we should take you in a car first. I said, well, I kind of want to walk. How about this? It has to be an unmarked car. It can't be a marked car. We'll drive you around in an unmarked car. You can see the area. You can film from the car. And if you really want to get out, we'll give you an opportunity to get out.
What? So why could it not be a marked car?
They didn't have, well, first they have to get like media approval. Meaning if you're in a marked car, then it's official police business. Therefore, you have to get it approved by the media relations team and all of this. And it's a huge process.
Seriously? It couldn't be just a simple ride-along patrol?
No, you have to get all that. All of that has to be approved.
Wow.
So they're like, there's just not enough time, but this is what we can do. We can let you go around a marked car. Okay. And they're like, but if you get out, just know that when you walk around, the next place you go, you're going to be taking that stuff with you. Because you're going to step in maybe a disease, you're going to step in feces, you're going to step in drugs, you may step on a needle. Whatever you step in, you're taking that with you to the next place you go. And it was when they said that, I was like, oh, okay. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get in someone else's car because I've been taking Ubers everywhere. I'm going to people's houses, going to people's businesses. I don't want to track it with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like, all right. And so they drive me around and I'm looking and I'm seeing everything. And they're like, all right, like you can, if you want to get out, we'll let you out somewhere. I'm like, I'm good. You know what I mean? I've seen enough. I don't need to walk the streets. It's actually really dangerous. But while I was in California, while I was in LA, I took maybe like 4 or 5 Ubers every day. And every single time I'm in the Uber, I asked the Uber driver, what's the biggest problem with LA? Every single person says homelessness. Everyone is frustrated with how the homelessness crisis has taken over the city. It's too late. You could address it now. They pour in something like $32 billion a year into this problem. And no matter how much money you spend, the problem gets bigger. The problem has hit escape velocity. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is like literally wrap them up and like do it in the most inhumane way possible and just like kick them out and like throw them in a van and drop them off in Mexico. That's the only way you could do this, which is not ideal. Like people, they're still people. They're still humans. You don't want to do that. If you wait until the problem is so large and people are so fed up that they complain, the problem is often too large. This is what I learned being in LA. This is why San Francisco is concerning, because the problem is large, but it's actually kind of manageable. If they wait until it's so big that they can't control it anymore, that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. And again, these encampments, they're not in front of the nice areas. It's like 1 block away from the nice area. There's like a nice hotel, and then 1 block later, it's just homeless encampments.
So this year alone, LA's budget on the homeless problem is $1 billion.
It's crazy.
Yeah, $950 million.
That's just LA's budget.
Yeah,
that's
just
not
LA.
including California budget.
Right.
That's not including federal assistance. That's not including nonprofit money that goes in. That's not including like for-profit money that goes in. It's just what the city of LA has spent.
It's its whole own economy at
Yes.
this point.
And I was going down some streets, and all of the tents, there are some streets where every single tent is the same exact brand and color. All this green Coleman tent. I was like, what? Why? How are all the tents in the homeless encampment the same tent? And they were like, look, the nonprofits show up with a truck full of tents. They just drop them off, take a picture, and they leave. They are collecting part of this money. They're probably getting paid $100 per tent. They're buying these tents at wholesale for $5 or $10 a tent. Arbitrary numbers. It's not exact. Don't be like, oh no, they're more expensive. Whatever. Shut up. And they are pocketing the difference. That is the business of nonprofit. There are literally high-rise apartments being built for homeless shelters. 20-story, 30-story apartments. The people who have the contract to build that are probably making size. And in what world is a high-rise homeless shelter a good idea? Eventually, it's going to be overrun. And there's going to be all this crime and illegal activity and dirty activity going on the 20th floor. What cop in their right mind is going to want to go up that thing and go into the 20th floor of like a den? It's like a 30-story den. Who's going to go in there? Can you imagine what it's going to be like in there once people move in? It's going to be the worst.
And the smell?
Oh my, who's going to clean it? Who wants that contract? Are you expecting that the homeless people that are living in the street in homeless encampments are going to take good care of that building? It's just burning money and creating a worse situation. I was in front of the Central Station in LAPD, and there is right outside of the Central Precinct in downtown LA. It's surrounded by homeless encampments. You can't even go to the police station to report a crime in person because you can't physically get through. And I was kind of annoyed because I was like, dude, what are you guys doing? How come you can't clean up the neighborhood around you? I mean, the police station is right there. And they're like, we used to. We used to go in the morning, do a sweep, get them out of the way, and at nighttime they'd come back. Fair. The ACLU came in and they said, how are you going to say that this property and these tents don't belong to the homeless? How are you going to say that it's not their property? You can't touch their stuff. Just because they're homeless doesn't mean they don't own this. And now there's an injunction where the police cannot remove the homeless.
That makes no sense.
Makes zero sense. And if there is a crime within a tent or within the community of the homeless encampments, the police just can't come in and stop the crime. You have to go get a warrant. So you have people living in temporary housing on the streets. The police has to identify a crime. They have to go to a judge, fill out an application for a warrant. The judge has to approve the warrant. They have to go back to the homeless encampment and hope that person is still in the same location. What cop wants to spend their time, like entire half day, to get this warrant when they come back and the person that they're trying to go after is gone? It's so backwards.
I'd be so frustrated if I was those cops.
Yeah, I really felt bad for them.
Yeah, when you were talking to them, what's their outlook like? Do they have hope that change will come, or are they just dragging their feet?
They do it because they think it matters. They think that they're supposed to be doing it. This is what they're cops. They're completely handcuffed by the system. And they're having a hard time recruiting new cops because who wants to be a cop when all you got to do is make one mistake, arrest the wrong guy, end up on a viral clip somewhere, and then you're losing your pension, you're losing your job, you end up in the news as a racist, misogynist, like violent, whatever. Who wants that job? So they're having really difficulty even hiring people. It's a really bad situation. I don't know how they fix it.
And it's amazing how they just still consistently vote the same way.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it's the same people in charge. There are like 5 or 6 county commissioners that are basically in charge of LA County. They rule the whole county. I heard a story about a congressperson in DC. I forget which one. And they left Congress. They left federal Congress to go take a seat and run for county commissioner in LA. An LA county commissioner has more power than a federal congressperson. To us, it seems like a step down, right? How do you go from Congress in Washington, D.C. to like county commissioner in LA? But actually, it's a step up because you have so much more power. You have so much more influence. You can actually enact change. And the change they enact is they want to get really rich. Because even in LA, I got to ride around a helicopter. We'll tell that story. But I got to ride on a helicopter, and one part of LA, like the houses are ridiculous. Like ridiculous mansions, probably $5, $10, $20, $30 million. And just like 2 blocks away is like so poor. They keep all the poor out of their super rich neighborhoods. They make sure that these people that support their agenda stay in charge, and it is extremely top down, meaning the top few percentage of society in LA that have all the money, have all the influence, have all the power, they control everything, and they will watch the rest of the city burn because it benefits them. It's so corrupt. And if people in LA knew how corrupt their system really is, and you would think a lot of people know by now, it's so bad. The corruption is crazy. There is such a dichotomy between like the uber rich in LA and like the poor. And not even poor. It's just like, if you're not uber rich, you're other. And all these small businesses, I mean, we drove by and walked by small businesses where in front of the small business are homeless encampments. Imagine spending the last 10 or 20 years of your life, maybe longer, working on your small business, and a homeless encampment just parks right in front of your business. It crushes your business. And then it kills the value of your business because there's no business, no one's working there. There's no way to get rid of them. So your business goes down, your revenue goes down. You have homeless people in front of you. You can't sell it because there's no money to pull out of it. You're stuck there. You have to go to work every day, like climbing over the shit, climbing over the drug use, climbing through the tents. You have to go into your store knowing that no one's going to shop there, but this is your only hope because all your money is there. The rights of the non-tax-paying homeless have precedence over the rights of tax-paying small business owners. And those small tax-paying small business owners are always minority, by the way. You don't see these homeless encampments in front of like the nice white neighborhoods. That's not a thing.
They're not in Beverly Hills.
They are not in Beverly Hills.
No.
The cops actually can remove them there because somehow they have more rights, the cops do, than the cops do in like the more urban areas. Mm-hmm. It's not even like a black thing, Asian thing. It's like a privileged thing versus a non-privileged thing. If you are privileged, you are able to enjoy a safe neighborhood. You are able to enjoy like a clean neighborhood. You are allowed to have rule of law in your community. And if you are not privileged, you get nothing. And it's the most apparent place in the country to see that is LA. It's crazy. And when you go to LA and you see California and see how it works, you're like, dude, no wonder people say, don't California-my. Because it's coming. It's coming everywhere. It's coming into Georgia. It's coming into New York. It's coming into Florida. It's coming into Texas. Every state, every community, this is coming. Which is you create policies that benefit the ruling class, and everyone gets screwed in the meantime. And I don't know when people wake up. I don't know when people start figuring this stuff out. I don't know when people start realizing it more. I think people are starting to. I think places like California, maybe it's too late. I don't know how you fix it. And it was really frustrating to me because I saw everywhere I go, I see so many people just getting screwed. So that's California. Don't let California your fill in the blank. Because it's coming. I've been thinking about this election. This election is, thank God it's almost over, isn't it?
Yeah. I get like 10, 15 text messages a day.
I am like so in election fatigue. So much political fatigue right now. It's like I don't even want to cover the news. I don't want to think about the news because all the news right now is political propaganda. Every piece of news is either in support of or against the candidate. Even all the narratives, all the news is designed in a way to support one person or the other. There is no like actual news in the world currently. It's like you could turn it all off, turn it on 2 weeks later, and it doesn't matter what happened. Everything will be the same. Actually, do you know what? Did you see the Trump do that Catholic fundraiser?
Yep.
The dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And Letitia James was there. Chuck Schumer was sitting right next to him.
2 seats away.
It kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. The elites all hanging out.
Laughing.
Yep.
Like they tell us that we're fighting for democracy. They tell us that we're fighting for our lives. They tell us it's the most important election ever. I say it too. And then you like get to watch them just laugh about it. People are willing to give their lives for it. People are willing to give their reputations for it. People are donating for it. People are sacrificing certain parts of their livelihood for it. And to watch them joke and laugh about it actually really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. Even Governor Hochul went out of her way to say hello to Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is political theater.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't matter. It's like no wonder shit doesn't work out in our favor. It's like there's this ruling class. They're all in on it. And it was really disingenuous. It was like not reading the pulse of the country. And I get that the dinner existed, so Trump has to go. Fair. You can't not go. It'd be better if the dinner just altogether didn't exist or don't televise it.
Kamala didn't go.
She didn't go. Which is interesting. I didn't like it at all. It was just something about the way that they were able to make jokes about something that's so important to us. And we are told it's so important. And every day, both parties ask for unlimited money. People give money, which they don't have. People are giving up their livelihood, their way of life, their own personal comfort to support a campaign because a campaign tells them this is so important that I need your money. and people are giving them the $5, $10, or $100, even though that $5 or $10 or $100 actually means something to them. They're donating it, and they're like, "Oh, thanks for the money. Oh, by the way, ha 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 ha, let's make jokes." I'm like, dude, it didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
And I get, like, he's funny. Fine, I get it. It was really funny. I thought he was hilarious. When he said, "Have you heard about the white guys for Trump? I mean, white guys for Kamala?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, their husbands and lovers are gonna vote for me or whatever." That was funny. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it discredits the urgency of the election. We're told this is so important and that we're fighting for our lives. And in a time where we're told we're fighting for our lives, and a lot of people in the country actually believe that we're fighting for our lives.
Right, but couldn't the dinner have been something to set aside that issue and get along for one night type of deal?
Yeah, I get that. I understand the idea of that. Doesn't change the fact that I didn't like it. Just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
I understand that too.
And we are so deep into political season. We have how many days left? 2 weeks left now?
Something
Are
like
we
that.
at 2 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks until everyone votes.
Right.
And I already cast my vote. Did you vote? You voted too,
Yeah.
right? So we both voted. Got that done. Check.
I wish I could let all the telemarketers know that. Like every time I get a text message, like a 2-paragraph long text message about why I should be voting for Kamala or why I should be voting for Trump, I'm like, oh.
Ugh. I don't even know. Like, I voted, and we talk a lot about election, and I've been very pro-Trump because I think he's better than Kamala. But overall direction of the country, I don't know if Trump wins, I don't think much changes. If Kamala wins, I don't think much changes. I think the direction of our country is still going to be the direction of our country. I don't think one new leader will all of a sudden make a U-turn. I think we're heading in a bad direction, or we're going to continue to head in a bad direction. And it really concerns me that, like, on both sides now, both sides of the election are elite group of people that are supporting both sides. This is a battle of the elites. It's a battle of the billionaires. That's what we're in the midst of, right? It's billionaires on one side that want to win for their interest, and it's billionaires on the other side that want to win for their interest. Actually, both sides say they care about your own individual interest, but that interest is secondary to the billionaire's interest. Does one side align more with my interest, and do they at least say that they care more about my interest? Sure. Fine. I think Trump speaks to what I care about a little bit more. But as far as like actual impact on our society, I think very little. Because if there is a list of hierarchy of priority of what they're going to handle and settle first, it's the super donors that get their problems fixed first. And then if there's enough time, and if there's enough money left over, and if there's enough capacity, then maybe they'll get to us. That's for both sides, by the way. And I don't know, like, I'm not a huge identity politics person, right? We try not to be. It's not something that we talk about often, although we talk about it every once in a while, right? We talk about Asian American stuff every once in a while. I think naturally because we're both Asian American, Korean American, whatever you want to call it. It's not like a focus of our show and our content. It kind of rubs me the wrong way that neither side have decided to reach out to and do something with the Asian American community. I get it. Like, it's not a huge voting bloc. I get it that there aren't that many people. I get it that Asian Americans typically end up living in areas that are already decided. They're in New York, LA, like you can't win it, so whatever. I get that. I get that it's a time and resource problem where it actually doesn't shift the election. I get that too. But still, you could still do it. if you're saying that you're going to be a president for all Americans, whether or not that is true, you could at least pretend to care.
I think you're speaking more to the conservative, right? Because, like you said,
I haven't seen Kamala on an Asian podcast,
right,
or Asian show, or Asian interview.
But you have said where you've seen the Democrats go into the Korean churches and speak to the members during lunch hour and things like that.
Yeah, but they're setting like their D team, right? It's like someone running for state house. It's like a very small role. They're not sending someone important.
Right, but the constant contact is out there.
Correct.
You know.
The example, or the way I like to phrase it for a lot of people, is if you're Asian American, the Democratic Party lies to you, the Republican Party ignores you. I think that's the most simplest way to put that. And I get it. On the conservative side, you're like, well, what's good for America is good for everybody. Fair. I kind of agree. But we're in a day and age where every single demographic of people, every single group of people is getting approached and heard. Whether or not it's important or not. They reach out, both sides reach out to the gay community. Both sides reach out to the trans community. Both sides reach out to the black community. Both sides reach out to the Hispanic community. Both sides reach out to the 2A people, to the hunting people, to the fishing people. Both sides reach out to the artists and the musicians. And every single demographic, every single subcategory, and every single subcategory of the subcategory, they all get attention. They all get something. They all get shown at least a little bit of love. Except the Asian community. They're the only ones completely left out of this election.
We're not the squeaky wheel.
But maybe we have to be. It's kind of annoying. Because again, this is not something that I overly care about, in that this is not my platform. But just by being an observer of it, understanding how politics works, understanding how media works, understanding how the social dynamic of the country works, to see that the people that, at least if I had to categorize myself, which I don't often, but if I had to categorize myself, like the easiest way to categorize myself is like, I'm Asian American, because like obvious, like I got really small eyes. I mean, I may have the smallest eyes out there, right? There's no hiding it. Everyone knows it. It's not like, oh, he kind of looks Asian. No, like I look pretty damn Asian. And a lot of people within the Asian community, especially the Asian conservative community, look up to me because at least they see me talking on a larger platform. So I have a certain amount of social responsibility to those people. And it sucks because they ignore you. It sucks because they lie to you. It sucks that your voice actually doesn't matter. And they've made it crystal clear that your voice doesn't matter. And that really bugs me. And it didn't bug me, say, 2 months ago. Because I thought eventually, I get it, they're not priority. Eventually, it's not the most important issue. It's not like the biggest thing. It's not the biggest swing vote. So maybe it's not something that you do in the beginning because you have to go out and win an election. But I thought eventually, at some point, both parties would circle back and at least hit it. Even if it's just to check a box. Just give us the box check, disingenuous box check. You don't have to actually care. You don't have to care at all. You don't have to actually care. Just pretend to care. You dance for everybody else. Kamala will go and she'll do the black accent, and she'll go do the Hispanic accent, and she'll do every single type of accent.
Will she do the Hispanic accent?
She did.
Did she?
Yeah, she did.
No, she didn't.
She did. She did the Hispanic accent. I think when she did the interview with Telemundo or Univision.
No.
She did. She'll do every single accent. Can you do a Chinese accent, please, Kamala? It'd be hilarious.
Oh.
At least pretend to care.
No, she can bring back her Indian accent.
Like where did that go? That even went away.
Yeah.
She's so worried about being perceived as Indian or Asian versus black that she's like, oh yeah, just kidding. I don't associate with them at all anymore.
Yeah.
The entire Asian community has been taken and swept under the rug and pushed into the corner. And it's like, hey, like sure, maybe the vote is split. Maybe the Asian community will vote according to what the country votes and therefore it doesn't matter. Fine. I get the politics of that. I get the numbers. I get the statistics. I understand how that works. And I understand that if you talk to the Asian community, it's not like you're trying to convince anybody because it actually maybe doesn't even matter. But at least pretend to check the box. I don't think that's a tough ask, by the way. I don't think that's asking for too much. By saying just show up at the community and just say, hey, like we care. At least in like local elections, like if you're running for, I think, what's his name? We had him here from New Jersey, George Song. Mm-hmm. George Song said it, right? He said that every 2 years, Congress people show up in the Korean communities because that's a very heavy Korean community. They show up and they say, oh, we love the Korean people. You guys are the best. You guys are the backbone of society. We can't build this place without you. You guys are the best. We need you and vote for me. I'm going to stand up for your issues and your rights and make sure that you guys are taken care of. And they vote for that guy. And they ignore them for 2 years. And 2 years later, they come back and say, oh, yeah, you guys are the best. We love the Koreans. The Koreans are the best. Look, oh, we love kalbi and kimchi. This is amazing. And they ignore you and they come back in 2 years. Fine. At least they pretend. This presidential cycle, they don't care at all. They've done nothing to even pretend to care. And I'm not the identity politics guy. I keep on saying that over and over again because it has not been our platform. But I really thought, at least at the end, as we're near 2 weeks to go, they would show up and check a box.
Well, they do have 2 weeks left.
If they do it now, I don't even know it's enough.
I mean,
they did Breakfast Club. They both did Breakfast Club. They both did all the black shows. They did the Latino shows. They went to Univision. Both of them. They both have gays for Trump, gays for Kamala. They have all that. Why are they not pandering to the Asian vote, even if it doesn't matter? We are a huge percentage of this country. Not huge, but a significant portion of this country. We contribute way above our demographic numbers, right? If we are, I don't know, what's the number? 8% of the country? Mm-hmm. We contribute way more than 8% to society and economy. We hit way above our weight. We are very much involved in entertainment, very much involved in technology. You can't build technology without Asians. You can't do banking without the Asians. You can't do law without the Asians. They do all the research. They do all the building. They do all the coding. They do all the writing. And at the time where the politicians going around and giving away unlimited free shit, nothing. And it didn't bother me before. But for some reason, the closer and further along we get in the election cycle, it bothers me more. Is that weird? Am I too much? Am I becoming like this Asian Al Sharpton?
I highly doubt you're becoming the Asian Al Sharpton, but I don't know. I think pandering to the Asians is super complex. Maybe that's why they don't touch it.
So what?
Because there's so many different types of Asians, and we're all different. And everyone has different sorts of values, different, history, different. There's a lot of differences in the Asian community, and
yes.
it's very complex, and it looks super difficult to deal with once you start looking at it.
If you divide the Asian community by their individual heritage, culture, and beliefs, then they look very separate. If you look at the Asian community as simply as other, then actually it's all the same. Right now, the Asian community is like this other. All you have to do is like try. K-pop does really well. Korean food does really well. Boba tea is doing really well. Although, I don't know, Simu Lee, cultural appropriation. Separate rabbit hole, by the way. Hate Simu Lu. Although I'm trying not to. I'm trying to not hate him because I think he's like the worst.
But he makes it easy.
And he's a huge sellout and it's actually setting the Asian community backwards instead of forwards.
Right.
I think so. But at least he's got small eyes, kind of small eyes. So sure, maybe we support him a little bit, but not really. You know, it's like Andrew Yang. Like I think he's the worst also, but at least he's out there. Although like he's kind of a joke, but he's out there, but he's not like doing a good job, but he's out there. But you know, it's like really inefficient and maybe actually setting us back, but he's out there. You know what I mean? Because no one else is. And maybe the way he's doing it is wrong. Maybe the way that both of them are doing is wrong. Maybe the way they're doing is not the way I would do it. But they're at least out there. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what the right way to do it is. So maybe I'm just the guy complaining on the internet. Possibly. But that's literally my job. To just be the guy that complains on the internet. So whatever, I own it. Right? I don't know. It didn't bother me before. Like, I'm not this whole stop Asian hate, Asian discrimination guy at all. I think it's ridiculous. I don't like the victimhood of it. But maybe because I don't own the victimhood of it when other people do, maybe that's why we're in the position that we are.
I'm not bothered by it.
At all?
I don't know why. I just look at it as I just want the best for the country, right? And if it doesn't include pandering to the Asian public, then so be it.
But what we're realizing is that what's best for the country is actually not at the interest of anybody. Both sides are what's best for the interest for them. And maybe one side relates to their side a little bit more. But it's definitely not for the betterment of the entire country. I don't think. Again, there is a hierarchy and a order in which things will be done. Billionaires and their interest first, and eventually they may get to us. And if that's the case, then don't we have to at least make us think about it? Just a little bit? Like somebody has to make us think about it, right? Someone has to like make the wheel a little squeaky.
I guess this is the
your parents own small business in like black neighborhoods, right? Did.
They used to. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
Yeah.
It's like so difficult. And they do nothing to help out that community. They just say, we're going to give you a bunch of shit and we're going to take care of you and we care about your vote and everyone's a racist and we're for your rights and we care about immigration. They don't even know what that means. Like we care about immigration. And oh, by the way, but there's too many of you in the big school. Wait, what? You just said you cared. But now you're telling us there's too many of us in a certain school. Okay, that's like confusing. Oh, we care about stop Asian hate. Oh, wait, just kidding. Like, it's all happening in the inner cities. So just kidding. That's not true anymore. Take that back. And then you have the Asians like, oh yeah, stop Asian hate. Like, okay, like it actually didn't go up. They're like, it went up 50% in the last 3 years. Yeah, it went from like 8 to like 12 people. It's not a huge increase, maybe percentage-wise, but people aren't getting like stopped in the street all the damn time. The most violence, just like the most violence in the black community is black on black. The most violence in Asian communities is Asian on Asian.
But nobody wants to talk about it.
It doesn't fit the narrative. But you have to. Maybe. I don't know. Just spitballing. Just thinking out loud. I don't even know why I care about this.
Raising the stink.
Just raising a stink. For the sake of raising a stink. Because if we don't raise a stink, it looks like no one else will. And I don't want to. I think I have to. There are too many people that watch us, too many people that listen to us, that are probably like, yeah, man, what the fuck? I feel like we have to represent that voice a little bit. Because we try our best to represent the voice of, I think, all of America. I think I really try hard to do that. What's right for America is good for all people. But in that, no one is speaking on the behalf of the voice that maybe actually matters a little bit because it relates to us a little bit more. I don't know. I don't want to be like an Asian advocacy show, you know? Like, oh, stop Asian hate, blah!
No, but I get it. And I think you know a bunch of people that feel the same way.
I think I'm seeing it more and more.
Right. It's because you're talking to those people.
And I'm starting to understand and feel their pain.
Right. Maybe not pain, but like angst.
Frustration.
Right.
Imagine, there is no one better, no group of people, no demographic of people that are better at the internet than Asian people. They're actually best on the internet of anybody. And you call that racist all you want, whatever. It is what it is. They're the best at the internet. They're actually better at technology in general. Imagine if the Asian community were to organize and become like a single voting bloc, kind of like the black community has. 80% of blacks will vote Democrat. And therefore, both sides have to pander to them because they're such a strong voting bloc. Maybe one day they switch. It's very possible. It's not impossible. But they will switch as a whole. Imagine if the Asian voting bloc, instead of being 55-45 or 60-40 or whatever it is, imagine if it was 80-20 as a voting bloc. Now you have to address it. You can't ignore it. Actually, if the Asian community were to join together and become a voting bloc for 2028, that voting bloc could decide the next election. It's actually interesting if you think about it that way. Whatever. Rose and Bruno Mars came out with a new K-pop song. It's kind of fire. I hate K-pop, but for some reason I listened to like 10 times the other day. I think it's really good. I hate K-pop, but I love that song. Actually, as soon as I walked out, I was like, Will, have you heard this song? It's like number 3 in the country right now. I was like, oh, why do I care? It's so stupid.
I think you're contradicting yourself a lot today.
I know, I'm just a big contradiction.
Yeah.
If you want to hear me contradict myself more, come back next week. And I think next week we'll have Peter here as well. That's what I got. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.